Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Kmart, and I want to talk about some basketball. And today, we got a hopefully quick one, as there was news of a trade going down in the NBA, a trade between the Miami Heat and the Charlotte Hornets, centered around Terry Rozier. So, we're going to take a look at exactly who and what got traded here and how it affects the two sides involved. So, without any further ado, we'll throw up on the screen what each side got here. The Heat receive Terry Rozier. Meanwhile, for the Charlotte Hornets, they get Kyle Lowry along with a first round pick in 2027. So, it's a pretty straightforward trade compared to some of the other ones we've seen this season. Just two guys and a pick between the squads, and we'll take a look at what this means for the two teams, starting with the Miami Heat. First and foremost, they get Terry Rozier. He's the headliner of this trade. He has proven to be a very capable offensive weapon since he joined the Hornets. That wasn't really his role with Boston. He was more of a sort of backup point guard, kind of bench guy. He wanted the chance to prove that he could score, so he goes to Charlotte, and he's proven it so far. He has not averaged fewer than 18 points per game since joining the Hornets, and really he's been at the absolute peak of his production this season. He's averaging 23.2 points to go along with 3.9 rebounds, 6.6 assists, shooting 45.9% from the field. And it should be noted, the points, assists, and field goal percentages for Rozier are, I believe, all career highs. So when I said he was sort of at the height of his production, well, we meant that. He's been incredibly well regarded in terms of the Hornets offense, and that's what the Heat wanted. They needed that kind of offensive player here. Sure, playing alongside guys like Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, maybe Rozier's averages go down a little bit just because he might get fewer shot opportunities with the Heat offense compared to the Hornets, but presumably, even if there's a bit of regression, it's going to help what has been at times for the Heat a very sort of slow, almost plodding kind of offense. If you look at their statistics, Miami is 26th in the league in points per game. They're 20th in offensive rating. And also, very importantly, they don't have sort of a dedicated guy running the offense for them. They don't have a single player on the roster who's averaging 5 assists or higher. Jimmy Butler's the highest, and he's only averaging 4.4 per game, whereas Rozier, as we mentioned, was averaging 6.6 assists per game. So a guy who can come in, who has proven he is very capable of scoring in bunches, but has also taken steps to improve his offensive game as a playmaker as well. That's something that the Heat looked at the roster so far this season and maybe thought they were kind of lacking in. So they go out and they get that kind of guy. And in terms of what they gave up, not much. A 2027 pick is far enough in the future where it's probably not really worth thinking about too much. And Kyle Lowry really at this point is near the back end of his career. He's 37 years old. He really isn't scoring too much for the Heat anymore. And he's, again, as we mentioned before, not really a guy who's running the offense for Miami either. He's averaging just 4 assists. So he's being paid $29 million. He's 37 years old. He's not scoring much. He's not really getting too many assists. So he's pretty clearly a movable asset, right? And there had been rumors that Lowry was on the move or looking to be traded the last couple of seasons. Now it's finally come for the Heat. So they get Rozier, they get rid of Lowry, but that brings us to the other side of the trade, the Charlotte Hornets. We'll start with the draft pick for them, because that's probably the thing of immediate concern. 2027 is still a little ways away, but that pick could still matter. In 2027 itself, the pick is lottery protected for that 2027 draft. If it doesn't convey there, than it is unprotected in 2028. So if the Heat continue to play at the level that they are now, by 2027 or 2028, they're unlikely to be bad enough where this is like a top 5 pick or something. But who knows, right? The Heat could implode. Guys could get old or hurt or etc. And within the next 3 or 4 seasons, that pick could pretty massively increase in value. You don't really know. But if you're the Hornets, either way, it's an extra first round pick. Even if it ends up being, between 16 and 30 in the 2027 draft, you still have a chance to add talent to your lineup, and who knows what the Hornets will look like by that point. The other major point here for the Hornets is that they get to offload a contract, right? Terry Rozier's contract was not breaking the bank. He's being paid about $23 million this year. He's due to make just shy of $25 million next year, and then about $26.5 million the year after that, which again, doesn't break the bank. It is a problem though if you're the Hornets and you're in a position right now where you're really not very good, right? This Hornets team kind of sucks. They did lock down LaMelo Ball to that massive extension, so he will be here long term, but everyone else you kind of start to wonder about, right? If the team isn't going to win games, how much of a point is there in keeping and, more importantly, paying some of these other guys long term? I think the Hornets are starting to look at that, right? Gordon Hayward is on an expiring contract. Rozier had 2 seasons left after this one. So the Hornets decide, again, if we're going to be near the bottom of the standings, let's move some of these guys and at least save money, maybe get some financial flexibility, some cap space to go out and maybe find a different co-star for LaMelo, right? Because it is important to remember what they take back in the trade here, Charlotte, other than the draft pick, is Kyle Lowry on an expiring contract. So he is $29 million worth of cap space that's going to be freed up at the end of this season. So now, right, $29 million in the form of Lowry, presumably leaving. Gordon Hayward, who's in the final year of his contract, as we mentioned before, is about $31.5 million that's going to go away. So the Hornets do suck right now. There's no getting around that. But they're going to go into the next off season with somewhere in the realm of $60 million of extra cap space to try and build a team around LaMelo. So that's not a bad start. We'll have to see what it is they get, but they're trying to sort of clear that space now, and moving Rozier definitely plays a big role in that. So if you look at the trade, the two teams go in the directions that they're already going. The Heat are trying to remain contenders in terms of playoff races, so they go out and they get a guy they hope can kickstart their offense. Meanwhile, the Hornets are looking at a new rebuild around LaMelo Ball, so they're acquiring draft picks and they're clearing cap space. It's about as simple as it gets. Both sides maybe don't get what they want. I'm sure the Hornets would love to be competitive, but they get what they need for the reality of their situations. And that's really the best I think you can ask for. But that's all I got. The Heat get Rozier, the Hornets get an expiring contract and a draft pick. So let me know what you think. In terms of the Heat, do you believe Rozier will have the offensive impact that I sort of outlined? How much do you think his stats regress on the Heat compared to the Hornets? And is this enough to push the Heat into maybe the top 4 or 5 in the Eastern Conference, or do you think they'll lag behind? Meanwhile, for the Hornets, in terms of having all that cap space, who do you think a realistic target for them to go after in free agency might be? Because realistically speaking, I think that's all we can talk about for the Hornets this season, unless something miraculous happens, is pretty much already kind of down the drain for them. But either way, feel free to let me know what you think. But other than that, thank you all so much for watching, and I will talk to you later.